What it do, what it be, what it do, though. This gonna be one Cat Marvel video. Now, I know what you're saying. Why in the world you starting off with no? Number one, he's a beast, okay? I don't care what anybody says. Expensive? Frick yeah. Took everything I had, but he is still the character that I use for all the world bosses. Any world boss that I have to use, minus like Ebony Maw or something like that, I always use Null because he just hits like he's a freaking truck. So I'm kind of just showing this right here just to show you about takes about 20 seconds to clear this stage. And once again, only his leadership. He's not getting nothing from Carnage or Venom, right? Other than some team ups. But I could easily put Valkyrie, could easily put Mystique, Taskmaster if I had him, all this kind of stuff to bump up his damage. He don't need to. He's one of the only ones that I use for stage 9 with no supports. Now, I say that because Captain Marvel, we're going to see how far she comes, right? I mean, stage 1, that's really nothing to be happy about. Lots of characters can do stage 1. Heck, even some of the characters that I have that aren't very good can do stage 1. But I want to show just how far she's coming. So once again, she's getting 30% lead of energy from her own leadership. Then you got Valkyrie and Mystique. Very expensive build. I would never use this for the character because it's a waste, right? She's horrible where she's coming from. You want to do 5 with her, then you want to try to proc on either 4 or 3. I believe 4 does more damage, so I always try to proc on 4, but sometimes this doesn't happen. Now, you'll see when the proc activates, you'll see that it's actually 6 or 7 seconds. Well, why is that? Well, because of her passive, it increases the buffs and the duration and all that. So that's why if you have a rage with her, you're actually getting about 7 seconds of a rage proc. That's why everybody uses a rage. Now, you could use an energy. I have a destruction on her, which is pretty much just a very good obelisk, right? It's a guard break, crit damage, and 200 proc. You could easily get that with an obelisk. But, I used to use her in PvP at a time, so that's why I have this. Now, this is a very good opportunity to kind of show that not only is her damage lacking, but her survivability. I mean, I'm still in the first part of the stage, right? We're pretty much struggling here. Reason why I say we're struggling, she has 2 supports. Null did this in 18 to 20 seconds. No support. She's doing this in almost a minute 30, minute 25. And when I was practicing with her earlier, I was averaging about a minute 30. So we'll just say a minute 30. That was actually a pretty good run. Not good at all, right? Who's going to use 2 supports for her on Null unless that's your only character? I'm not going to use it, right? So this is where she's coming from. Mythic uniform. It's also a synergy uniform. And look at that. I have all of the additional uniforms for her. She's pretty much maxed out for this one. The only way she can get better is if I had a rage on her, right? I mean, she has great stat. I can increase some of these, but you're pretty much done with the build at this point as a free-to-play player. So we're going to go ahead and get her newest uniform on now. Some of the... don't want to do that yet. Some of the things, right? It's going to increase damage to supervillains by 50%. Right away, she's going to be way better, right? The only thing, PvP, I've tried using her. She does beat Sentry. The only thing, she doesn't have a heal. So unless you're perfect, unless, you're dodging at a high rate, you're not really going to do too well, right? You're going to be inconsistent. Why would you use her when you could just use Sentry and win 98% of your battles, right? Just doesn't make sense. So here you want to do 5, 2, 4. Reason why you want to do 5 gives you a frenzy buff. Reason why you want to do 2, it increases your next attack by 20%. So you're stacking all that to the 4th skill. Now remember, I have a destruction, so I may proc early on some other ones. Like that was probably a miss proc right there. So 5, 4, 2. Oh, and then I get stunned right when I just got the timing of it all down. And we're gonna do the same thing. 5, 2. Oh, I thought I could miss it with the tier 3. I'm doing great right now, if you can tell. I'm gonna do 5, 2. I'm gonna do the tier 3. Boy, I'm not doing good with this one. When I was practicing with her before, I was hitting all these like a Gucci Mane. But that's all right. This shows a very realistic form of what you can expect. So right there, I did the tier 3, kind of canceled it because the tier 3 was going to be done. And then I go ahead and do the 4th. So about 4 minutes. I was averaging between a minute and 4:10. So I would say about 50 seconds is a really great run. This one was actually a pretty bad one. I kept getting stunned, kept getting hit by the cages. But on average, I was doing about 40 to about 45 seconds better than the old uniform. So as you can tell, it's a huge upgrade. Personally, to me, do you really need it? I mean, no, right? I mean, there's way better team ups. But to me, I invest so much into these tier 3 characters. When a new uniform comes out, I want to get it because I want them to perform to the best that they possibly can, right? So, if so in the future, if I get a rage, I'll probably put it on her. Actually, that's a lie. I'm not going to put it on her. I'm going to put it on this guy if I ever get a rage. Please, hopefully I get that in a few days. All right, guys. So remember, that was a normal uniform. Still has a way to go for all the uniform options as well. That's a destruction, so you can easily just have an obelisk. But it kind of just shows that as a normal character, she can do it. And if you're wondering, you can go ahead and try and do this with no additional help, right? I mean, that's huge getting those two. I'll bring Venom just in case I die, right? Just in case I start losing health and all that. And I'll just bring Gwenom. You know, she's not really going to do anything. So this is kind of like more of a true damage type of a thing. This is like if you're a newer player, you tier 3 Captain Marvel, you have no supports for her. Is it possible? Remember, I got, I think, 8 or 10% Pierce. So obviously that's going to make the character better. But as you can see, when you hit the proc, it's almost about 3 bars of damage. It's not bad, right? Considering that I pretty much just have an obelisk on her, 200% obelisk. See if I can avoid the cages here. 5, 2, go straight into 6. Perfect timing. There, proc late. So that's the thing. I mean, if you're truly going to max her out, I would give her a rage by far. That way you don't have to be frustrated by trying to time all these procs like that. Proc landed early, so can't really do anything with her proc right now. And, you know, I think Ancient One would almost be like a necessity for her team. As you can see, I'm getting guard broken quite often. Ancient One, when he drops those circles, will kind of prevent that. You know, allow you kind of just to push forward. Now, in my experience, if you can get it to about 245, that's like really cutting it close to beating null. But that's pretty much like the cutoff to where you can do it. So as you can see, she can do it by herself. You know, I mean, that right there is what I was averaging with her old uniform. And that was with 2 supports. So she's doing this now with no supports in the same amount of time. It's a good upgrade for her, you know. And like I said, PvP, she can work. I personally would not use her for PvP. That's just me though, because Sentry, like I said, is a god. Why would you make a god weak? I don't know. don't make sense, right? Let's see. I was fighting somebody. I don't even know who I was fighting. Let's just choose a random person. You want to be able to. Let's just try this guy. So she has a really long iframes, which is good for her. You have to remember too, her fourth skill is the ignore targeting. So you want to make sure and spam that one as much as possible. Here, we're just going to go ahead and kite, kind of let Sentry do his thing, because remember when you first start off, all of your skills are on cooldown. So we're going to go 5, go straight into 4, do that ignore targeting, go straight into 3, and see like that, you're kind of just chaining iframes so that it's hard for him to attack. Here we're going to do 4. So, I mean, she's good. She took out. Here we're going to try Blue Marvel. So, there you go. Perfect showcase, right? Can she work for PvP? Yes. She took out Sentry, which is really hard. Blue Marvel, he's probably now either the second or the third best PvP player, right? It's either Sentry, Silver Surfer, or Blue Marvel. They're competing for 2 and 3 right now. And then Ebony Maw, right, has that crazy 35% increase and decrease to universal types. So she's good. And you got to remember, her uniform increases her damage to villains. So if this team was running Thanos, Dormammu, Hulk, any strong villain, which, you know, they kind of don't normally do anymore, but if they were, she'd destroy them. So she's not a bad character. You know, if she had a heal and, you know, maybe just a little bit more power, or if I just had an energy on her, she would be performing a lot better. Houston, guys, you guys are the best. Remember, when you in trouble, don't call me. Peace.